There's something about being part of nature. There's something about being around these animals. To even the most wounded veteran, they feel different. Keeps them part of something greater than themselves. The idea is that you've got to give someone who's been through a severe trauma an opportunity to heal. And we believe at the Warriors and Wolves program, in a back to nature setting, it does that. We have 40 animals at this facility.
There you go, you got it, you'll get that.
We've rescued wolves off of chains in Alaska as part of a roadside attraction. We rescued wolf dogs from a backyard breeder in San Diego. I think for all the veterans that we bring out here, whether they work here or they're here for a support group, what rings true is if they can heal, I can heal.
The wolves, they know if you're injured or something's wrong with you, and they have the trauma. So, we have some type of trauma in life. We can get that connection, and one wolf would be your friend for life.
What happens is one animal picks that one veteran. Never again does that animal pick someone else. Never again does that animal want to show the same kind of affection to someone else.
What a good boy.
Conventional therapy isn't really something for me. It didn't help, to be honest. After 10 years of military life, it was sort of a tough transition. Had I continued down my course of being angry, drinking myself to death, may have been the last chapter of my life.
There are things I've seen that I can't unsee. There are things I've done that I cannot undo. Just saying that, well, I did it in the name of my country doesn't help you sleep at night. But what does help you sleep is having a companion.
They kind of teach you how to be calm and confident. It's got some deeper meaning when they accept you. They accept you into the family, part of the pack.
At the end of World War II, the Soviets were holding Berlin under siege. In order to save millions of people from starvation, the US and Allies devised a plan to airlift in food. One American pilot decided to take it a step further. He delivered candy.
My name is Gail Halverson, but I'm known as the Berlin Candy Bomber. I didn't think that the airlift would last very long, so I thought I'd better get a movie of this operation before they send me home.
One day, while filming the planes taking off and landing, Gail became aware that there was some young children watching him. He went over to talk to them, and after a while, he realized,
"Dummy, don't you know kids like chocolate?" And I knew that they had not had chocolate in the stores in Berlin for 2 years. And I reached into my pocket, and all I had was 2 sticks of Wrigley's Double Mint gum. And I broke the 2 sticks in half, gave it to kids, and the kids with half a stick tore off the wrapper into thin strips and passed it to those without gum. And those who received the wrappers put it up their nose and smelled a piece of wrapper.
Inspired by their generosity, he decided that next flight, he would drop them chocolate and candy via parachute from the plane.
They said, "How do we know what airplane you're in?" And so I said, "When I come over the airfield, I'll wiggle the wings of that big airplane." And they said, "Oh, great."
True to his word, the next day, Gail began to drop the packages. What started with just 2 sticks of gum eventually turned into 23 tons of chocolate.
From then on, I was known in the press and all the kids in Berlin, "That's Uncle Wiggly Wings."
And in case you were wondering if the candy bomber still has a sweet tooth.
Oh yeah, I still eat chocolate. I like dark chocolate.
Tootsie Rolls seem simple enough, that piece of gooey chocolate wrapped up in a perfect little bite. But believe it or not, these tasty treats saved the lives of US Marines in the Korean War.
So good.
In 1950, at the North Korean Chosin Reservoir, U.S. Marine troops were engaged in battle. The Marines were running out of ammunition and called for an airdrop of 60mm mortar rounds. Codename for these bullets? Tootsie Roll. When the supplies fell from the sky, troops were surprised to find boxes filled with the actual candies.
Where are the bullets?
This fluke turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Freezing cold temperatures had cracked vehicle fuel lines, leaving troops stranded. And although the candies were frozen, they softened easily in the mouths of servicemen.
So good.
Marines quickly realized they could melt the candies down to a putty and seal the broken pipes.
Good as new.
When the chocolate refroze, they were able to drive to safety in their newly functional vehicles. The Marines who successfully escaped the reservoir admit that Tootsie Rolls had a big hand in their survival, and they call themselves the Chosen Few. I'd call that a pretty sweet victory.
You remember this can. The sweet sauce, the soft noodle, this was childhood. But did you know that Chef Boyardee was an actual chef? He was. His name was Hector, and he made a mean pasta sauce. But it wasn't Hector's sauce that made Chef Boyardee the household name that it is today. You can thank the US military for that. In the 1930s, Hector Boyardee opened up an Italian restaurant in Ohio, and everyone was like,
"Oh my God, I love your sauce."
So he started selling it, and he sold a lot of it. A lot. By 1938, he had opened up his own factory, selling his sauce and pasta canned.
Ask for Chef Boyardee's spaghetti dinner. Only about 15 cents a serving.
Then, World War II happened, and a phone call was made. The U.S. military called Hector and said something like,
"Help make food for the troops."
He already had the canning infrastructure, so Hector said,
"Yeah, all right."
His company shifted from a civilian consumer base to a military one. Chef Boyardee became the largest supplier of rations to U.S. and Allied forces. Production was happening 24/7. By the end of the war, the factory was too large, and the military demand no longer existed. Hector didn't know what to do. So he sold it to this large company called American Home Products, who were all like,
"We got this."
They quickly rebranded and distributed the can as easy-to-make at-home meals and filled supermarket shelves across the United States. So today, when we buy Chef Boyardee, we're actually eating rebranded World War II field rations. Yep.
At the height of the Second World War, the Allied forces were planning a secret mission to invade Nazi-occupied Sicily. In order to confuse the Germans, they devised an audacious and utterly bizarre plan, a plan which hinged on the ultimate success of one man. A man who was already dead. On April 30th, 1943, a Spanish fisherman discovered the body of a British soldier off the coast of Spain. The dead soldier had a briefcase handcuffed to his wrist. The Nazis got a hold of the body and examined the man and his possessions. What they uncovered astounded them. The dead soldier carried letters which described critical details of the Allies' plan to invade Greece. Nazi officials, including Hitler himself, were convinced they had stumbled upon the greatest military intercept of the Second World War. The only issue for the Nazis was the dead soldier and all of the details outlining the pending invasion were a fantastical ruse designed to foil the German army. The idea was conceived by a group within British intelligence, which included Ian Fleming. Yep, the guy who wrote James Bond. To pull it off, the team had procured the body of a 34-year-old man who had died the month before. They gave the guy a uniform, a fake passport, theater tickets, a picture of a girlfriend, and even loose tobacco to make him appear real. They drove from London to Scotland, and they put it on a submarine. 2 days later, the body was placed in the ocean, where it was later found. Hitler was so convinced that he moved the bulk of his forces to Greece in preparation for the pending invasion. An invasion that never came. So, when the Allies landed in Sicily, they encountered a whole lot less resistance, occupied southern Italy, and ultimately changed the course of the war, thanks to one dead man and a crazy plan.